Welcome back to LessonStream. This is a channel for teachers. My name's Jamie Keddy, and in this video I'd like to show you a teaching idea that you can apply to virtually any image. And to demonstrate it, we're going to use this one right here. You might have seen this before. We referred to it in a previous video, which I'll include at the end, but don't you just love this picture? This is the cover of a book of photographs by the humanist photographer Robert Doisneau, and it's great. This little boy in a state of delight, just amazed at this little stream of water running through the gutter somewhere in Paris in 1934. This little boy discovering his new world. And well, let's just say that you've used this image with your students. You've done something with it. Maybe you've asked them questions about it. Maybe you've got them to kind of speculate about the little boy's life. Maybe you've told them the story behind the photograph. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that your students can see the picture displayed on the screen. And now you tell your students that you have a second image for them. And the second image that you're going to show them in a little while, it has some things in common with the previous one, but there's also some differences. And students have got to work out the similarities and work out the differences, and to do that, they're going to ask you questions, closed questions, questions to which the answer can only be yes or no. So for this, I would suggest that maybe you make use of an iPad or a mobile phone. Have the image displayed in your hand so that you can see it. Your students can't, but they know that it is there. So I'm looking at it right now. So students have got to ask these questions, and in doing that, they may work out, for example, that the second image is also a black and white photograph. It's also a street scene. The subject of the picture is also a little boy. It's a different little boy. It couldn't possibly be the same one. He is also in the second image. He's also in a similar kind of state of wonder, a state of delight, bending over, staring at a little stream of water running through a gutter with his eyes wide open and his mouth gaping. There's a lot of compositional differences. In the second image, the little boy is much closer to us. He almost fills the frame, which I guess is what you'd expect from a subject. There are, I think I can count, 3 cars in the second image, and also there's some people around. There's some other people around. I think there's some grown-ups. So you see, the more questions students ask, the more there is to discover, some similarities and some differences. But the biggest challenge for your students is for them to work out what the fundamental difference between these two images is. And in order to do that, they've got to go kind of beyond the surface and go deeper into the image itself. What is the fundamental difference between these two images? I'm going to show you. So here's the first one. This is, of course, a photograph taken in 1934. The second image, this one right here, is just a bit weird. I think you'll agree, something not quite right. The fundamental difference is that this is my attempt to recreate the first image using artificial intelligence. I don't know what Robert Doisneau would think of that. I think he'd be turning in his grave. I feel I owe him an apology for even thinking about doing what I did to his photograph. Also, it turns out I owe you an apology. It turns out I'm incompetent. All this time I've wondered, why do people never leave comments on my YouTube channel? And just this morning I discovered a whole stash of comments. It turns out you've got to find them, they're hidden, and you've got to approve them. I had no idea. Also, they've only got a 6-week expiry. Apparently, comments on YouTube, they go off, they go bad, and YouTube throws them away after 6 weeks, throws them in the organics, I hope. So if you've ever left a comment and I didn't reply, I have to offer you my most sincere apologies. Apologies to all of you. So let's get back to this image. There's a question And this is a really good question to ask your students and to explore with them. Is it a photograph? Now, I guess that most people would say that this is not a photograph, but in the classroom you could play devil's advocate and argue with your students that it is. I mean, after all, it has been informed through thousands and millions of actual photographs of real people and streets and cars and body posture and facial expressions. It knows its genre. And so in a way you could argue that this is a sort of special kind of manipulated photograph. So the question is, to what extent is a photograph manipulated like this still a photograph? I don't think it's black and white. It's an interesting question. By the way, if you're still watching this, could you be so kind as to give this video a cheeky little thumbs up? It certainly would make me very happy. Now, as a follow-up idea, why not get your students to go out there and find an image that they like, maybe a piece of art, a photograph, whatever, and then try to recreate it using artificial intelligence, just as I did with this one. This is DALL-E, and you can see the prompt that I used there to generate it. Let me show you a few more of recreated or attempted recreated images. Here is one. This is a photograph from 1984, I think. This is my little sister Susie being terrorized by a chicken. She's never forgiven me for taking this photograph. And here is the kind of attempt to recreate it with AI. What about this one? This one I'm sure you know. This is a very famous photograph. It's not a photograph. What are you talking about? It's a piece of art by Georges Seurat. It's Sunday afternoon on the, what is it? It's Sunday afternoon with your monkey. Because there is a monkey there, isn't there? The famous monkey down in the bottom right-hand side. Look at this attempted reconstruction. I mean, at first it looks fine. It looks great. But then you see these people just so casually walking through the river. And that doesn't really look like Paris, does it? Anyway, but here's another one. This is a street pool party sometime or somewhere in New York, sometime in the 60s, maybe, I'm not sure. But the attempted regeneration of it here is, I mean, it's just not quite right, is it? This is what AI does. It reveals to us that it's not human. It puts the pool right in the middle of the financial area of New York. And look, you can see people standing in their swimming costumes right down to the horizon. Just so weird. And I've got to credit Steve Sinclair as a teacher in the LessonStream membership for introducing me to this idea. The images that you've just seen were actually images that his students created. One more. This is a photograph, 1920, I think, by André Kertész, and it's a couple. I think they're looking through a little hole at the circus, and here. This makes me laugh. This attempt to recreate it didn't quite go according to plan. So if you get your students to do this using AI to create alternative versions of pre-existing photographs, you could ask them to write about it as well. Spot the difference. What do they see? What does AI reveal to us about itself? If you try these ideas with your students, please let us know how you get on. Leave a comment. I'll reply this time. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye-bye.